Ladies and gentlemen, the 5th and final Elite Cup of the winter season is happening right now. Then there will be a couple of weeks break before we get to see the next Trackmania season and the 5 new Elite Cup maps. One no knockout round to kick us off, and you get to see all the lines we just talked about driven to perfection now in a live round format. We do see some people going inside line for this drift, others going wide. Late exit of the ice slide seems to be ideal. Propanoia here having some trouble from an early exit. And then across the platforms. Onto the plastic. Bit left side to right side makes you not get any airtime in that transition. And then you have the NASCAR turn. Here you release instead of drift. Good line by Wosal as the skins load in. And then the platforming in the ending. Everyone has to go for it. I don't think we'll see anyone try the safe route. There is a safe route out to the side. Like, there's a dirt... You see the dirt road at the bottom of the screen? That's what you could do. But instead you have the platforming, some wheel clips. First round won by Bren with a 1:13.3. Alright, here we go. One player standing AFK at the start. That is Legu, who just now loads in. Okay. How much is the deficit? 3 seconds. That might not be out, guys. Because of the Tetris platforming stuff at the ending, some people clipping there, he's gonna be fine. Lingo has crashed and struggles with the ice slide at reduced speed. Cacne respawning or lagging, not sure which one that is. But Lingo has passed 1, and Legu is very close to Cacne. We are gonna follow the field up to the platforming, I think, and then see if anyone falters there. You have to survive that 39 times in a row. That is a big ask. It's a very difficult obstacle. And even when they do make mistakes, their overall pace is so quick that for a player of average skill, they could probably beat us with respawns, guys. We saw Propanoia with a mistake there, I think. Most people surviving here, though. Nobody into the hole in the ending. No disasters there. Cacne is in. Legu is in, despite his 3-second disconnect in the start. Drives only 4 seconds behind the winner. Propanoia, like I said, falling off there. And a Watson DNF. Chemko in +10. Great for Legu to not lose his opportunity in the cup that early. But of course, unfortunate for Propanoia. Shows the danger of the identity. Alright, next round. Guys, I'm gonna bump the sound for you guys. Even ever so slightly. But now we should be good. Trying to pay attention to some of the players that have played well, but still kind of are lacking a little bit to get through to the top points. We saw Stufts get very far for Netherlands last time. Spam was cheering against him at the end, hoping not to fall too far behind in the nation standings. Other than him, Neon as well has been pointed out to be one of the favorites. Only 16? Maybe he's 17 now. Born in 09. That's the 09 in his name. And drives really well, just lacking that consistency. So we're going into the ending now. We can take a look at the splits. Narcor versus Skundir. It's the battle Narcor clips. Will anyone else make a mistake here? It's a wave of cars dropping, following the same course. Wizzy with a mistake, but Narcor too far behind to make the comeback. And he's out. Born in 09, why did you tell us this fact? I try to tell you things I know about the players. I don't know everything about everyone, but you know, you got players here that are teenagers and some that are in their 30s. It's a big span. You have some old school legends and some youngsters fighting for the spots. Make something up? Maybe I already have. Maybe I already have. Maybe I've spread misinformation in one of these and I don't remember. There are some things that are harder to make up than others. For example, a pyramid would be very hard to make up. Like, even if you wanted to make a pyramid, it would take a substantial amount of effort and labor over many years, perhaps involving the entire workforce of a nation, to erect such a monument in the desert sands. Wissy with a 7-second mistake. I'm not sure what's happened there. I was daydreaming. But now, into the ending. Elcon in trouble. Chased down by Evon and Auris. Auris a bit behind. Oh, Dark is there. Glust, I think, failed. A Belgian car as well. Evon has respawned. There's a respawn battle. 3 cars at least. Wissy should be safe. Somehow. He is indeed safe. And it's Evon and Richie out. How did they cut the faces of the rocks so smoothly and straight? I've done this with my shirt sometimes. If I'm wearing a shirt and a jacket over, I will iron the front side of the shirt. But the back side of the shirt I don't care about because I'm wearing a jacket over it. They kind of did that with some of the pyramids where the outermost layers of stones are really smooth, really nice, because they're seen. And then the inner layers of stone, it's just rubble. Speaking of rubble, Elcon, very far behind. The field. Just tumbled down. The leaderboard, half a second to go. He can make this deficit up, I think, but would require some mistakes in the end. We did see a very big respawn from some players last time, so I wouldn't count him out. We will see if he can just drive a stable identity himself. You gotta be a bit ice cold, hope that others will fail. Away Friedrich has failed. Auris there again. Auris not been in safe one of these rounds. We saw a respawn there, guys. Elcon will be safe. Otak there, who dropped down a bit, will be safe. It was Nitek who had the big respawn on the identity and is out. But yeah, the first, like, quite close round so far. 115.3 was the safe time. And Neon winning the round. Also very cool to see Mulla doing well. I do wish we had a Norwegian player that did as well as Mulla's been doing for Sweden. But what I was going to say about these young upcoming talents that's a bit different stylistically from the old school veterans is right now it looks like Neon is a better player than Carl Jr. because he's driving faster rounds. But they have a bit of that young confidence where you just drive world record pace every round. If it fails, it fails. You crash out spectacularly. If you make it, cool. You're now flexing on the entire lobby. Carl is he's been doing that for 10 years. He's done with that. You will not really see Carl up front in a lot of these rounds too often. You will just see him around top 10 mark. And then you will see him survive far into the match. And that goes for any player that has been around for as long as Carl. Like Mutta, Pack. You could say the same for Massa, Grenadi, Scrappy. Like, these guys are a bit more patient. They don't push 100% every round. And maybe that will win out in the ending. Chemko now in the hot seat. Maimo Jr. close behind. Hearing his engine tween off the block. That is one of the old school players making a mistake. And being eliminated. Yeah, eliminated. Rossi finishes in 52nd. 5 seconds behind. Tween, 4-time runner-up for world champion, by the way. If you did not know. 4-time runner-up, but never became world champion yet. His best style was tech when it was drifting and stuff. In multi-style, it's been a lot harder for him. What happened to Kappa? I haven't seen him in a long time. Kappa, 2018 world champion. Kind of has left Trackmania on the shelf. He's not really competing anymore. I think he did hint that maybe returning for the EWC. But, haven't seen him yet. Close start now, no mistakes. Gwen very wide there though. We saw nobody really mess up the ice slide exit. Such a close round. Lingo feeling an eternity away. Mulla with a clip. I did not intend to cast her curse. My neighbor here from Sweden, Mulla, but this is a little bit what I alluded to. We will see if he recovers. Has been doing full send, and now he sent a little bit too much. Lingo versus Scrappy in the ending. There might not be more mistakes, guys. This might be the battle to look at. Noisia, though, slow onto the grass, might have hit the pillar. So we drop down onto the blocks. We see Yakosto and Holo both clipping. Lingo, nosedive, down the leaderboard and off the blocks. By Me is there. Lingo and By Me might be the last two. I think everyone else is finishing in. That is indeed the case. Unfortunate for Lingo. Mulla saves it and stays in contention. Does Mulla mean something in Swedish? I think it's short for Mullebo, which is a city in Denmark where a lot of jokes are made about people that are from there because of their intelligence. Mulla is 08? Yeah, I think Mulla is 17, 18. Oh, it's just a Swedish name, okay. Well, I've heard a lot of jokes about Mullebo in Norway. Might have just been a Norway thing. Area with a bit of a mistake there. Looks like he ran out of area on the track. He's gonna be in the red on the split. Offie down there too, but he is far closer to safety. Did I predict a winner yet? Let me make just... Oh, heave. Let me make an out-of-the-blue prediction right now. I think Apples wins this one. I think Apples wins. I could be wrong, but that's my prediction. Into the ending, Offie versus Heave, Mulla in Neon! I'm cursing everybody. I applied the spell, the Curse of Ra. Area is in. It's Neon and Bobo out. I almost actually said Neon would win. I was about to say Neon, but then I thought 39 rounds at the ending is a lot to ask. Can we get Cam 7 for the identity? Maybe? You will still not really see who fails. How many non-Europeans left? Carl Jr., Mura. Noisia as well. Charles. I think we're down to 4 players. Let's take a look at Carl Jr. Might have missed somebody on my quick skim. Wait, is Area still in? Oh, he is. Yeah, there. Yeah, it was 2 mistakes. Bobo and Neon. Okay. Barbos had a pretty good PB on the leaderboards. I saw him the last couple of days. Low 113. Also someone who could do really well here that you don't see play in the Elite Cups a lot. But I do now think that the players that have played all 5 Elite Cups have a big advantage and that they know the endurance it takes for all those rounds. Area with a very close jump there. Still in the red. Down on the drops. No mistakes yet. That's Skandir respawning out. Unfortunate for Skandir. And Area snipes Yakosto by 100th to stay in. Yakosto out by 100th in like the first very, very close round. 114.7 to be in. And as noted in chat, top 2 there were Team Liquid players, Apples and Otak. And 3 out of last 4 places, Belgium. Auris has been staying in. He did have a very shaky start. I thought with the stress of like a high position and all, it's a little hard to recover, but now I think he's stabilized. So he should be fine for a while. But it is quite scary when you're close to the red many times in a row. Naiko saves himself. Quite hard to spot these things in such a big field. Oh, that's a respawn from Dark. And almost a wheel clip from Holo, but he made it. New Prime trailing by a little bit. Release turn, good. Not really much time he can make up in this middle part. Mola falling a bit away from the field himself. Area with a 2-second mistake. This is what I meant. You make one mistake, you make two, you make three, and you're always down in the red. It's scary. Your heartbeat is still high into the next round. Will someone save him here? Oh, heave with a mistake, but that might be fine. Area has DNF'd. And heave would indeed be fast enough to fend him off. Why is it called the identity? It's a old word, but basically, back in the day, competitive maps would be named by their distinct feature. If a map had like a flip in the ending, the map would be called Flip of Faith. If it had some balancing part, it would be called Rails. And so that was like the defining feature of each map, was this obstacle at the ending. So now that you have the Tetris blocks here, that's like the main obstacle on the map. And the rounds, like, they're close. You could build up quite a nice lead before the ending. But everything's decided there. So it might look over and out here for Glust, but if one player out of the 40 players ahead of him clip their wheel on any of these last drop downs, it changes so quickly. You don't really see mistakes up until that obstacle, but you do see everything decided there, so. Mudda there, yeah, Mudda up front now, second place this round. Here we go, this is basically where it's going to be decided. Change to the free camera, and let's follow the players. Legu slowing down a lot, trying to save it. See Paco and Gloss get closer. No clips on that one. Legu almost getting overtaken, but he has enough speed to fend them off. Glust and Paco out. Better to spectate or worse? Better? Alright, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it that way. Let's do it that way. Let me also remind you guys about the points format that they're using. It does not really matter too much if players get knocked out in 64th place, even really up until 20th place. It really, all it does is it takes away your opportunity of scoring big points. What I mean is that 64th place gets like 2 points, and if you get all the way to 20th, you get, I mean, 60 points, something like that. Not really anything to write home about. If you win the Elite Cup, you get 1,000 points for the circuit. If you get into the top 8, it's over 100. Because only your 5 best performances count, players are always gonna vie for the really high positions, and if they get knocked out, it's like, okay, well then that was not one of my best 5 results anyway. Therefore, yeah, it really just takes away your opportunity on the map, but it doesn't matter too much for overall standings yet. In the last couple League Cups, it will matter a lot. Legu in the red, I don't think anyone respawned, didn't see any name tags fall away, and he is out. 114.92. Save time. Free cam, bro, I was yapping. I had to finish my point. 2 processes at the same time. Too much for an old man's brain. Let's spectate Scrappy for 1 full round, no matter where he ends up, guys. See what it's like to be just one of these players. He went very close to the wall there. Good drift. Pretty good on tech, Scrappy. Ice, not his best, not his worst. Little wide, but helps seeing low positions. Close line here. And nice drop down. Yeah, good speed. Just gonna feel quite okay with that. Up the hill. He's first place. This is... when it comes to knockouts, not the best spot to spectate. But we are gonna switch over for the identity. We see Wosal and Hill 200s apart in the battle for survival. Going into the ending now, let's turn our attention to the entire field. Onto the blocks. Hill in last with Barbos. They are still in last, but there's a clip and a respawn from Rossi and also one from Charles. And that pretty much means everyone else is safe. No other respawns. Again, Team Liquid top 2. And Gwen and Binks for All Gamers Global in the top 4 there. You would think that, like, You'd rather spend all your budget on like signing one player, but some of these teams have signed two and it looks pretty good. Where's Carl Jr.? Carl Jr. is between the lines. He's hard to notice. I showed some graphs, right, before the stream about like where the last spot in the Survivor is and the fastest time is each round. Carl Jr.'s best run so far is a 1:13.7. We've seen winning times as low as 0.5, 0.4. Qualifier, they drove 0.1, 0.2. And, oh, spam very high.
No. GG.
Otak, who was in top 2 last round, is now close to red. Spam 3 seconds behind. He did have awkward lines on the ice. Maybe a little shaken up by that. Very hard to recover from that for Spam. And his main opponent from Netherlands in the Nations Cup standings, Stuffed, is still gonna be in. And maybe getting a lead from that. Otak, though, still not safe here. There's a lot of French players near the bottom. Here we go into the blocks. Asion made a mistake. Mata made a huge mistake, but saved it. Oh, there was another clip as well. Was that Coco? Asion is fine because Coco clipped. Guys, here's just a caveat. Couldn't change to the overview camera because Spam is 4 seconds behind, and the camera tries to capture every player. So it would zoom out to the International Space Station to catch all players in the camera. This is just a caveat of the follow all mode. Therefore, it only really works when all players are close. Unfortunately, Spam out. Spam out, so now in that Nations Cup battle, Stifts, any points he can gain here would be very valuable for him. Not that many Dutch players vying for that one. Also, so far, when we're into the second half, with 32 players left after this round, those that make it, if it's Mola for Sweden, if it's, you know, Chemko for Turkey, these smaller nations in the game, very important points for them. Stift's first place after Spam goes out, just to make a statement. Wosao +7 has failed the transitions in the middle. I think that is irrecoverable for a third Elite Cup champion. I don't know if he can survive that. Not sure what happened, but yeah, that's a big gap. And again, we're gonna follow from onboard point of view. Chemko, I mentioned, there was a clip. Was that Holo? Already very far behind. Pack struggling a little bit, but makes it through. And it's gonna be Holo Wosile out. Outdoor Cobra, just letting us all know questions we did not ask. Thank you for your information. Alright, top 32. Half the field remains. Another 8 rounds of 2 knockouts per round. When we reach 16 players left, then it's only 1 knockout per round. Any surprises so far? Anyone we are quite shocked to see? I wouldn't really say so. Maybe some players that we haven't seen so often, like Barbos. Aurel hasn't played a lot of these. Snow, maybe. We're reaching that point where it's about a regular cup of the day in length, and beyond that, it's harder to be consistent. Heave and Asion in red. Asion has been a lot close to the bottom, but has made it thus far. Good drift there. 0.8 gap down to the red spots. They all know the difference is huge. So it remains to see if they can hold their own. It's really just about not clipping the wheels now. Asion making up some ground towards Feed and Aurel. There has been a respawn. Mimo Jr. has respawned. That means Asion is gonna be fine once again. Once again, he's gonna be alright. Crazy. Wirtual, where did you get your shirt? I just went outside, got some grass, and just put it a bit here and there. The process of touching grass. Recommended. It's proof I have been outside. Proof I've been outside. Can spectate Soldier this round, perhaps. I'm really just clicking a bit around to give you guys a bit of a wider perspective of the field, so we don't spectate the same 5 players. At least early on into the rounds before there's any mistakes. Look at this though. Really close now. 0.4 the gap between everybody. Nyko goes so close over the edge. Was about to clip but didn't lose speed. I think RL has respawned. He has indeed. It's actually Epos in trouble. My predicted winner for this one. We've seen him a lot close to the top, but that doesn't matter. If you're once in the red, you're out. Against Nyko. Otak down as well. Into the battle for survival. Team Liquid versus Team Liquid. And Nyko, who got second on the second Elite Cup. Elcon there as well. This is going to be a big knockout. Any mistakes? Feed in a bit of trouble. Slow. Otak with a good line. Nyko struggling. So does Chemko. Feed is out with a 1:14.3. That is the fastest time someone who got knocked out has driven yet. We are seeing the field drive faster and faster. I want to refer back to the graphs I showed earlier, but not gonna pull that up now. Survival for Nyko, Otak, and Epos in a very close spot there. And unfortunate for RL. I think that is one of his better performances though. Also should notice, Hill is doing quite well. Hill for Czech Republic. Quite hard to play against Elcon for the Nations Cup spot, but giving him a run for the money. Nice to see. We also have Pika for Portugal, who is doing pretty well in the Elite Cups, but now Mola in red. Gets a good release turn. Hill has to release late. That costs a lot of speed. And Mola up into 27th. Good setup for the dirt. Very good on dirt, Mola. One of his best styles. So just slight gains through here. Nice nosedive. Past Pika and Solja. Now we can go into the overview camera. Onto the blocks. Pika and Hill currently eliminated if the positions remain, but Wissy is slow. Afi has clipped. And Outdoor Cobra is going to have some explaining to do. As his favorite is out. Don't think I forgot. That's the most cursed comment I've ever seen, Outdoor Cobra. My goat, yeah. Yeah. Afi out in 28th. Sorry, it's alright. We all have our weak moments. Mudda still playing? Yes, sir. You can see his name tag center of screen right about now. And for once, we actually see Carl Jr. 24th on the car. How does he adapt? Very inside ice slide setup. But releases early. This is not good for Carl. Last out of the ice for the GOAT. Together with Chalich now in the red. Slightly better on the plastic than New Prime. He maneuvers a couple of spots up the leaderboard. Through the NASCAR turn. Sorry if there's any disconnects for you guys. Should not be a problem in the video. Into the ending, guys. Anyone could really go out here. Chemko with an unfortunate line. The blocks will decide at the drop downs. How stable can you keep your car? Can you avoid wheel clips? Chemko trailing. Asion is there. Carl Jr. Some respawns happened. Pika, Asion, and Hill. Asion versus Pika is the battle, and Pika fails. Asion should survive yet again with like +7. And at this point, he is in disbelief. The other ones he understood, but now he's starting to question where his luck is going. Should he have bought a lottery ticket? Is it gonna all be spent on this Elite Cup? The plot armor is strong. The problem, guys, is after a round like that, your pulse is like, right? And now you're immediately being thrown into a new round. You barely had time to process that you just got by with like a crazy survival. And the other 24 players remaining are driving really fast pace. So the test is if you can survive this in the next round to kind of calm yourself, then you're truly in the running again. We've seen a huge mistake from Barbas at the end of the ice. 2 seconds behind. Mola's struggling a bit, but it's Cholich in the red for now. Up onto the NASCAR turn. We never see any big differences here. It's really just waiting for the ending to give us our 2 players. Azion, I said it. I said it. It is quite stressful, guys. His pulse is still high. And here comes Cholich for the battle. Onto the blocks. Cholich with a worse entry. Looking good for Azion. Cholich slow landing there. Clipping. And Azion is going to secure another orange for himself. And let me tell you, this does not make your heart beat any less. Twice in a row orange. Twice in a row making big mistakes. It would be a miracle if he doesn't go out next round just because of the stress being cumulatively too high. Scrappy also got a pickup. Yeah, this is when we're almost at that point where you score really big points. So you don't want to survive for 20 rounds just to be left out of the big scores. So survival now matters a lot. If you go out in, 45th, okay, it's just a wash. Forget that one. If you go out now, it could have been very good. So yeah, we are going to pay attention to the splits. Out of the start, Scrappy, someone said, has to pick up the pace, and he is in the red now. Lets the nose dip so he can get a flat landing here with speed. That makes sense, but hasn't brought him any closer to safety. We do see Azion's name tag. Scrappy side by side with Chemko. Better line for him there. 1/10 up to Letster. Wide drift setup. Has to adapt constantly though, never getting the clean line that he's looking for. 0.52. The entire field separated by half a second as we make our way to the blocks. Snow in last, side by side with Chemko. Azion with an awkward entry. That is the 3rd in a row. I said it would be a miracle. Had he survived the round, there was another clip. I think we will have Snow and Azion out. Too hard to survive if you don't calm your pulse. And Azion's time to go, but what a story. Surviving for a very long time there, Azion. Top 20 now. Most of the favorites still in. Some very high-paced players have gone out, like Neon. But for the most part, the people that are at the top of the standings overall are still in the running now. Also, Wosile out, I suppose. Possible for the others to catch up to him in the standings. And it's a very close round. 0.2 between everybody. Into the drop downs. New Prime with a crazy start, far ahead of the others. Chemko and Pack 0.3 behind only. After 40 seconds of driving. NASCAR turn. Oh, Chemko trying to keep all the speed he does. But he uses more space on the track. It doesn't get him closer. Stift's 0.3. Now it's Epos in the other red spot. Again on the overview. Into the jump and the setup towards the blocks. Here we go. Chemko still behind. Stift's in trouble. Stift's out. Spam's gonna be heard cheering for that. And Chemko is the other player out. 1:13.9 the survival time now. I said at the start of the cup, 1:14 is like that stable survival. That's no longer true. At this point, you probably need to step up your pace even more. 1:13.75 maybe to guarantee yourself in. Unless there's like a freak round. But yeah, 2 of the players with really good chances in Nations Cup. Chemko and Stifts. Now, the most annoying round to get eliminated, the last double knockout round. Going out in this round always feels annoying compared to surviving it. More so than other double knockout rounds. I am noticing Mime is still in the running. And he is one of the world's best players. I mean, signed by Navi for a reason, but hasn't really gotten it to work in any Elite Cup so far. So it's very fun to see him in contention. Massa with a mistake. And at this level into the cup, that is quite the mistake. Scrappy as well. 0.9 behind. Maybe also stressed from the round previous where he was last one in. Things can still happen, but it's less and less likely. 0.2 for everybody else. Driving so close in pace. We are gonna see if they all survive the ending. Massa and Scrappy really just hoping for something to go wrong up front. Bren a bit slow, that's the only thing I'm noticing. Everyone else still fine. New Prime with a mistake. Massa might pass. No, he's respawned. Scrappy though. Could he pass New Prime on the line? No, New Prime snipes him out. And Scrappy out in 17th. Scrappy, Massa out here. Big knockouts.
GG. Unlucky. Of course, it's this round. It's this last KO round.
You see Carl, like a machine, guys. 113.8, 113.8, 113.8. Grenadi's been doing the same thing. We haven't seen them really up front, but they're just delivering what needs to happen. So top 16, 1 knockout per round from here on out until we have a champion. Any crash now is gonna be all the more difficult because everyone will see you on the splits. When there's 2 knockout spots, there's a lot more chaos. Now, it's very clear. You crash, you're pretty much out. Bren, thought his wheel was gonna clip. Appos with a very slow drop down. He did indeed clip. Tied last with New Prime, his teammate from the previous Trackmania World Tour season. Into the release turn. Mola going wide. Appos using less space. Passes him. The drift up the hill. Letzer taking a lot of the boost. Alcon wide. Slow there too. Very close though. Mola touching at the exit of the dirt. I did say it was one of his best. But it really has to be flawless here. That's not where you want to make any mistakes. Is there a clip? Appos slow down a bit. And a New Prime clip. Let's Mola survive another round. Unfortunate for New Prime. Fortunate for the Swedish Hope here. Gets to play another round. And yeah, for New Prime, this was one of his best Elite Cups. He had a 13th place on the 3rd Elite Cup. So this was his 2nd best result. 13th and 20th, but yeah, missing out on the big points again, unfortunate for him. But are you happy for Mola surviving? Because I can tell he's a very improving player. Like, him and Nico, they're part of the prodigies, Letzer as well. Like, the new generation of players. It's really fun to see. Players like Carl and Bren and Grenadi and Scrappy. I've seen them compete at the top level for 10 years, and now it's cool to see them get some new competition. So I love to see the new young talents do well. Very close once again. Impossible to say who's gonna go out here. But not everyone can make it. Pack has the red number into the drift. He risks very hard to get rid of it and does succeed. But the others are only a car length behind. Mola again on the dirt. Some omens from last round, but Nico made a mistake there too. The wobble better for Mola, getting closer. Onto the blocks, Nico doing a ramp cut. That lets Mola be equal. Last couple of drop downs, Nico clips. And Nico is out, barring other mistakes. Yep. Mola twice in a row orange. And this is where we're seeing experience, guys. Versus a little bit of inexperience, but that's something you have to build up. Like, if you were a betting man, it's a lot more likely Carl Jr. survives the next round than one of the prodigies I brought up. Don't want to say any names out loud because I don't want to curse them. But it's just an everyday run for Carl, and it's a very high heart rate, stressful run for some of the prodigies. Gwen is 8 seconds behind in the start. I don't know what happened to Gwen. He must have clipped something. But alright, let's see some fast pace now. This is like the one chance you get going into the final 10 rounds to pace check. You can just full send, you can respawn once and you'll still be fine. Otak, I think, is actually limit testing right now. His best time in the cup so far, 113.4. Same for Mutta, 113.4. Let's see a perfect attempt at the identity up front. Good nosedive for Mutta. Good speed. Air brakes there immediately after the car dips to stabilize. Clean. Bit wide though. Otak gets the better of that turn. And 113.5 they drive. But yeah. Regardless of mistakes here, Gwen out. What? I don't know what happened. Maybe someone had a point of view of that.
On the time attack. So far his best time is a .60 who didn't start. Gwen. Gwen, internet issues, welcome back into the year of 2025.
We will see. He gwent away? He gwent away. And then came back, but he was AFK at the start. It's a terrible, terrible pun. Just stood still at the start. Soldier 2 seconds behind at the start. This looks more like a crash, but what's happening? What is happening? Another round here, guys, that is gonna be rather uneventful. Not really a round you have the luxury of going bananas, but you can limit test a little bit. A wall touch won't have you eliminated, but missing a Tetris block will. We see Carl on really fast splits. Yeah, this is 0.3 pace. Missing the dirt a tiny bit though, so maybe not anymore. Assuming they're all gonna make it here. Mutta with a good line there. This is when you don't want to make any unforced mistakes, and they all have it down by now. 28 rounds survived so far, and that's 29. They all make it Soldier out after an early mistake. And Carl chilling in the end, but the start was quick. This is basically Mutta versus Carl. I wouldn't discount Pack, Elcon, Grenadi, Mime, Bren, Epos, Otak. A little too early to do that. Binks as well. I mean, this is so stacked. Unbelievably stacked field. And the pace to be in here, guys, is gonna be around 113.8 to guarantee survival. Slower than that and you are at risk. Into the drop downs. Letster over the clip. Doesn't get punished. Bran over the clip. Little slow there. Letster catching up. Pace up front about 2/10 behind Carl's previous. So, little slower round, but everyone is close. Now Mutta in the red shows just how volatile this really is. 0.3 behind only, up on the outside, good speed, brake tap to give the car more angle, lets him get through the turn with more ease. He is very good at the ending, Mutta, so this should not be him out, but who is it going to be? Bren now in the red, now it's Elcon, it's flipping back and forth. I think it still is either Bren or Elcon. Elcon looks last, and that is the case. 114.05. Mutta in the orange spot there. Elcon was third into the ending, but got 12th. 114.0. Unfortunate for Elcon. Almost at the point, guys, where the points become very valuable. From top 8 and onwards, it's 100 points, 200 points, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, and 1,000. So you really just want to stay in a couple more rounds. It is so valuable. The effort from this round and the next 5 is more valuable than the first 30, basically. That's the crazy thing in the Elite Cup. Now it's Letster again, close to last. His starts are never that fast, but good in the middle to ending section. Also might be Pack's best Elite Cup yet, the way it's been looking, but he too has to survive these rounds, and now the loss of pressure into the ending. Nosedive looks good, but everyone else has it too. It's marginal, if anything, that he catches up there onto the blocks. Letster was in the red for a moment. Someone clipped, someone respawned, double clip for Mola and Letster, and who was it that respawned? Otak. Mola and Letster survived with a double clip there as Otak fell off the block. Otak out in 11th. It's quite ice cold of them to just continue driving there. Many would probably just insta respawn, but they know they could survive there. Mullah should have been out 5 times. He has the plot armor so far. What a performance. Fun to see. Oh, this is not a good line for Leicester. Will be brought back down into the red in the drifts. And now has to find something on the ice, maybe. Or the drops. Mutta with an awkward line there, but lots of speed. Reels in the field over the straight. Gets past Carl. Oh, mine was so close on the outside there. Yeah, this is not only a very close field, but a very fast round too. Everybody on 113.7 pace. Leicester. That was such a moment reaction there. Just briefly adjusting his steering to dodge the wall. Now for the ending. Can he cling on? Grenadi ate a lot of penalty grass. Leicester getting closer. Mullah in the red almost again. This time looking more dangerous than the previous, but Leicester is still behind. The nose down, not good for Leicester. Mime surviving with a jump. Leicester out, 113.9. 10 players within 0.2 of a second, 0.3 of a second. Insane stuff. 113.8 has been the safe margin so far. That really can change with this few players left, because you really just have to send everything you got. We could see that drop to 113.7 to be in. And it can fluctuate so quickly, because they all drove... Like, keep in mind, the 64th place time to get into Division 1 was 113.7, right? That's that was the baseline to get to compete. Everyone here can do that. It's just how reliably can they get that? And if you make one mistake chasing for pace like that, you're insta out. Hack a bit slow, Bren catching up, Mutta in the red still. 2 tenths behind. Good setup for the release turn, but no gains to be had. They all get the turn just right. Pack adapting his drift, Bren getting less of the booster. Mutta is gonna go back into the safe margin before we get onto the identity. Let's watch this one from the bird's eye view. It's Brennan last as they enter the blocks. A little bit of an awkward rotation from Apples, I believe it was. Still Brennan last. Last part, 2 jet lag players in the red. Bren versus Mutta. And Bren goes out. Jet lag players, I say. It's a thing of the past, but I remember. Bren out in 9th. Maybe it'll make a return one day. And Mullah again in orange, staying in. Hard not to root for someone that going up against all the familiar titans now of the game. He's really the last new face in, the last rookie. And he's holding his own so far. That was a bit of an awkward drift though. But finds a good ice slide to stabilize. Pack pushing, trying to get past. For a moment brings Mullah into the red, but Mullah more speed. 1/10 between everyone now. It is so unbelievably volatile. You could not predict at all who's gonna win. Someone said Pack had a great identity last time. Went from last to 3rd on the leaderboard at the finish. He might be able to do something similar here. Wouldn't count him out just because he is in the red before the ending. Mullah in trouble. Has been a bit shaky in the identity and now further down than usual. Bren passes Mime. Mime in the red. Appos going too wide. Appos clipping. Binks clipping too. Appos clips the worst of it. And Appos is out. And my prediction is wrong. Appos out there with 1 mistake after 34 rounds of play. And yeah, good ending from Pack. He went from almost last to 3rd there again. Something to keep in mind as we now get into the very valuable positions, guys. 8th place was worth 100 points. Whoever goes out now have secured themselves 200 points minimum. That is a lot of value obtained in one weekend of play. for the standings. So, let's see who it's gonna be. If you survive further than this, then even better. 300 points, 400, so on. Grenadi a bit wide, perhaps too wide. The speed is what he's going for. It doesn't really compensate. And he's in a dangerous spot now. Into the NASCAR turn. Mola looks like he released very early. And look at the speed, passes everybody once again. Into the drift, gets past. Constantly changing. Carl Jr. lone in front, 0.2 ahead of everybody. Is he turning on the jet engine in the last couple of rounds? Looking like it. Mola too wobbly, actually too much of a wobble, bit awkward. Saves Eclipse. This might be Mola's downfall. I don't think any of the other pros will make a mistake here in the ending. That one wheel clip and a 113.9 despite it. Great run, but too much of a mistake this late into the cup. 200 points, very, very impressive. Carl Jr., by the way, dropped a 113.3. That's a statement round from Carl. 1337. Just quickly checking the other players right now. Mime drove a 113.42 earlier. But other than that, the best time from the others still in the competition is 0.5, 0.6 in rounds. So now it's not only can you drive a time like that, can you change your pace? You've gotten used to one thing that's safe for a while. Now it's no longer safe. Now you have to turn the notch up a little bit while still keeping things safe. Wide for Mutta here. Onto the plastic. Gets good grip and good speed as well. Past Mime, Grenadi up front. Great pace being driven there. Only 2 tenths between everybody. Every round has been like this, and we take it all for granted. Keep in mind how impressive this is. To do this once, to do it so consistently. We're watching a very high level of Trackmania here. But it is hard to keep that level without mistakes. Mutta makes one. Will he be saved? Pack looked like he almost was going to clip. Carl Jr. looked like he was having trouble. But everybody makes it. And Mutta, the raid boss of the Elite Cups, goes out in 6th place.
Alright, not bad. 300 points. My focus was so drained towards the end, but I'm very happy with how I played that.
He'll take those points to the bank and very likely will preserve 1st place on the standings. I believe perhaps only Carl Jr. or Binks have an outside shot at that, but we'll take a look at everything in total later. Mutta goes home with 300 points. 400 points up for grabs for 5th place. And this is soon now to be Pack's best Elite Cup performance by far. We've all said he has the potential to do so, and we haven't yet seen it. Also huge for Mime to go this far. Can he go all the way? Ice slide, good. But we've seen how much 2 tenths matter on this map. And he has left 1 tenth to the good. Up to the 1st place. Carl Jr. again. We're seeing him a lot up front now. Slightly better pace out of the start than the others consistently. Mime packing Grenadi in the closest battle. Up on the outside. Mime setting up that very late, but it's still a good line, I think. Gets early here. And gets close to Grenadi. Dares to go close to the pillar. That's going to be a lot of speed onto the identity. Pack has a very good identity, we know, though. So Grenadi in trouble still. Pack drop down is good. Mime in trouble also. Last turn around, Carl Jr. clips. And though he has pace, he too is not invulnerable to mistakes. Carl Jr. out in 5th place. And a new winner guaranteed. Knockout pace there, 113.7. And that has to be held the entire way through now. Pack, Mime, Grenadi, and Binks. It's soon to be Grenadi's best performance also. Believe Grenadi got 3rd in the 1st Elite Cup. Binks 2nd in the 1st Elite Cup. So they've been up here before, but for Pack and Mime, this is uncharted waters. I will say Pack, though, used to have the highest Cup of the Day win rate at about 20%. And that was in Fast Learn. You give him time to practice, he is even better, typically. Now we'll see if he can keep it up. Onto the drop downs. Grenadi has left 2 tenths to the entire group. This is quite detrimental. Hard to catch this up in the rather simple turns for the pros. He does do a good NASCAR turn, and he can do a good drift, but this only at best gives him a few hundredths. Gives him maybe 500s now to Mime. He is making a comeback happen. Not getting closer to the winner, but getting closer to safety. Pack clips the pillar. Mime clips the hole. That is still maybe not settled. Gernati onto the identity. Will make it by the looks of it. Bink safe. Gernati safe. Mime safe. And Pack out in 4th. 1:13.5 the winning time. And for Pack, that is now his best performance yet. But maybe a little shy of what he wanted. Still 500 points there. I don't think he will be complaining. It's a good result overall. Mime, Binks, and Gernati now. Mime and Gernati used to compete in the Trackmania Grand League Challenger Division. There was the upper division of the top 16. And then these guys were by far and away the best players in the division below 5 or so years ago. Now they are mainstays on the big stage. But cool to see them side by side with only 3 players left. Binks as well. He's competing that season. He's ahead. 0.1 ahead of Mime. Trailing a bit. Similar position to what Gernati was in last time, and now Mime clips into the pillar. Faceplant happens. And the others will know. We will have a final between Binks and Gernati. They both got beaten by Mutta in the first Elite Cup. They got 2nd and 3rd that time. Now they get to duke it out. Will it be Binks or Gernati? Binks' best run in the Elite Cup so far, a 103.5. Gernati's best, a 103.47. Binks drives a 49 now. Good luck to both. Here we go. 39 rounds have been survived for this. And there's so many points on the line. First place gets 1,000 points. Second place gets 700. Every tiny detail will matter. Airtime reduction onto the booster, equal. Up the hill. Binks slightly ahead. This could matter. That's 500ths. Gained out of the first 10 seconds of driving. Gernati gets a good uphill, and the bleeding will stop there, but gives Binks a little bit more room to work with. Onto the ice slide. Earlier inside line for Gernati. Looking like he'll gain back some time in this segment. Binks gets a tighter exit though, and that's 0.1. High pace being driven by Binks. Wobbly landing, but gets so much exit speed. He times it perfectly. 0.25, and these are great splits. Splits that would result in a 1:13 mid, driven the ending perfectly. Gernati has been in this spot before. Can he push for something, win his first Elite Cup, or will it be Binks? Going into the last portion of the track now. Identity still to come. Anything can still happen, but Binks has built up a decent lead towards Gernati. The wobble, good for Binks. Maintains 0.2. Onto the blocks for the last time. Gernati getting a bit closer. Binks almost clipping, saves it. And now in the last drop down, it's too far for Gernati. Binks wins with a 1:13.5. Gernati 0.58. Very good last round. Close race the entire way. Gernati had to send it in the end. Tried it. Binks wins. And someone said, with that, Binks might have overtaken for first in the overall Elite Cup standings. But yes, indeed. This is quite crazy. Binks' consistency is so unreal. 2nd place, 8th place, 55th in the US, okay? 3rd place Brazil, and 1,000 on Greece. Absolutely unreal consistency. Whereas, you know, Mutta, first, dominating stuff. But his score on the US and Brazil, not as good as they could have been. And now, 300 points for Greece, still very good. But that leaves him 50 points behind. Carl Jr. in 3rd, scored well today. Gernati in 4th, passing Massa, taking the ENC spot for now. By only 50 points margin, that's very close. And then Wosal, not his best lap today. Bren, decent. Naiko, little bit of an early knockout. Apples, little bit of an early knockout. Whew, I gotta catch my voice. That was very exciting. What an Elite Cup. What an Elite Cup. Very cool to see. Hope you guys enjoyed the cast.